Today on Beardo and Weirdo, we have Steve-O, the legendary Steve-O from Jackass, talking about drug addiction, sex addiction, and how at 12 years old, he figured out how to find Mötley Crüe's hotel.
And perhaps the most surprising on this episode is the depth of someone who almost got a breast job and has a dick tattooed on his face. Deep Thoughts with Steve-O today on Beardo and Weirdo.
The last person you would expect it.
Shabba them tits, son.
What's up, guys? Chris Kale here.
Hey, Ricky Rackman here.
And me, I'm Craig Gass, the comedian from Family Guy, King of Queens, and the roast of Gene Simmons. We're coming to Tampa, specifically to Wesley Chapel, to the Side Splitters Comedy Club.
Wesley Chapel, Side Splitters, May 8th and 9th.
Side Splitters in Wesley Chapel? It's true. May 8th and 9th. And joining me, two very funny comics, Craig Gass and Chris Kale, who is not only the bass player of Five Finger Death Punch, but he's also a great comedian.
Me, Ricky Rackman, and Chris Kale from Five Finger Death Punch. It's rock, it's metal, without any rock or any metal whatsoever. It's stand-up comedy and storytelling. Come join us at Side Splitters in Wesley Chapel. The tickets are at getgas.com. Getgas with two S's.com. It's the show nobody asked for. This is going to be the easiest conversation we've had yet. This is going to be...
We've had some pretty easy ones.
Oh, dude, this is going to be effortless,
It's
man.
the vibe of the show, man.
It's shocking to me sometimes when you meet somebody and they're really, really nice. And like, dude, seriously?
Especially in this industry, right?
Yeah. But Steve-O is genuinely not only a really nice person, there's subtleties about people that you notice. And anytime I talk to him, I see him talking to other people, he keeps eye contact, he listens, and he's engaging, and he does these like small selfless acts that you just go, God damn. And I know what it is. I think I know what it is because when I first met him 18, 19 years ago, he was in a different place in his life. And we did the roast of Gene Simmons together. And Steve-O was I remember going on the red carpet and they go, yeah, you go on after Steve-O. And Steve-O was smoking weed out of a Coke can on the red carpet. And I was like, no way. Like, I don't know if I can follow this guy. And it was, I want to say it was shortly after the Gene Simmons roast that you got into recovery. Wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for all the kind words. If you ask any of my girlfriends, I'll tell you that I don't actually listen to shit.
You know what's funny? It's funny you say that because this is Chris Kale, by the way, from Five Finger Death Punch.
How are you, sir? Nice to meet you finally, Steve-O.
Yeah, likewise, man.
Chris and I have known each other for a long time, and I would always tell people, you know what I love about Chris? He's a good listener because he would look at me and just constantly engage, go, oh, yeah, totally, 100%, yep. And one time we ran into his ex-wife, and his ex-wife said, oh, hey, Craig, tell her what you always said about me. And I go, oh, yeah, Chris is a good listener. And she went, what? And the way she said it made me rethink everything. Like one word made me go, wow, you know what?
And I was like, woman, you knew me back when I was still drinking and doing drugs. You don't know me now.
Yeah. But am I right about the timeline that it was right after the roast of Gene Simmons?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I got kicked out of the roast of Gene Simmons, so I never got to tell my joke that I was so excited about.
What was the joke?
It was, man, I thought it was when you guys took off your makeup for the punch. But God, was it hilarious when you had to put it back on. I remember, I don't know if it's even that funny of a joke, but I thought it was great.
Yeah. Can we go into why you got thrown out of the roast?
Sure. You'll say that I it's because I peed on Danny Bonaducci, but I was actually peeing into a bottle.
But it was,
I was like kind of just immediately behind Danny Bonaducci.
Yeah, you were too much for the
I
bottle.
remember correctly. Yeah, if I remember, you got a pretty funny photo that
I have the photo. We got it right. I'll show it here. But
Nice.
It looks a bit like I was peeing on Danny.
Yeah. There is no question Steve-O was trying to pee into a bottle. But he was directly behind Danny, and it was spraying all over Danny Bonaducci's back. And then you can actually see Ralphie May in the corner of the picture laughing his fat tits off. And then he, at some point, goes, "Hey, man, I think that guy's peeing on you." And Danny he's like, "What? Hey, no." And he goes, "Not today, buddy. Not today." and he walked up to the security guard, which is a real funny response because that implies that there are other days that Steve-O can pee on you, just not today.
Yeah.
You know, and then Danny goes over and like, "Hey, man, you told this guy that," and then, security's like, "Hey, Steve-O, you can't," and then I just remember he got thrown out and I was like, wow, it was crazy.
I don't think security was like, "Hey, you can't." I think security was just actively escorting me out immediately.
Yeah.
Is that a new Wild Ride hoodie you got on right there?
It is.
That is awesome.
I mean, no, hold on. It's not new.
No,
it's not new. We made it. We made them for a while. Nobody bought any, and we gave up.
You are.
That is one thing I love about Steve-O. His self-effacing humor is so. I think I've always believed that ability to laugh at yourself shows an incredibly healthy psyche. And God, there are very few people I know that laugh at themselves more than Steve-O. I remember I did a show. He let me do some stand-up to warm up the audience at a show in Boise. And when we got in the building, his merch stand was getting set up, and he has all different types of merch over there. But he still walked me over and he said, "Welcome to my flea market." I mean, he laughs at himself, which I think is really healthy.
Get yourself a dream catcher.
Yeah. but
he's learning from Gene Simmons like me over here.
I do want to start because you're talking to two guys who are in recovery. I do want to start with that moment of your life because I have no frame of reference for what Steve-O was like before the roast. I just know that the next time I saw him, I went, "Oh wow, you're changed." Like I could see the light was on, and it's weird. It's always weird to me when someone has less recovery than I do, and they're better at it than I am.
You've said that about me too.
Yeah,
I see a reoccurring theme here. Maybe you need to work on your program a little bit more, Mr. Gas.
There's actually
there's a God shot for you right here in this episode.
Yeah, but so was it a moment of clarity? Was it an intervention? What was it that made you?
It was an intervention.
Okay,
it was. It was actually organized by Johnny Knoxville. That was one of my first jokes in stand-up. You know you got a problem when your interventionist is Johnny Knoxville.
Oh, man.
You know what's crazy is when he started doing stand-up, Steve-O, an early show that I saw was one of the best one-man shows I've ever seen because it was a themed show about, and it was weird because I think the message was so subtle that it seemed to me that the message in the show was about recovery. But he did a whole stand-up set where it was about his wild times on drugs, going to rehab, and then now being in recovery.
It's like a multimedia presentation as well, right?
That one, the drug one, that had like pictures. It wasn't videos, right? Or was it?
Well, it was multimedia in post-production.
Okay.
Like when I toured with it, it was just me and the microphone. But for the special, I edited all the footage in after the fact.
Okay.
Now, Josh Wolf actually recommended that I check out Steve-O because I've been doing stand-up for about 2.5, maybe 3 years. And from my understanding, like you're telling stories about, on the road with Jackass, recovery, all that. And that's what I'm doing too, is telling stories from the road, talk about being in the band, the recovery. And Josh Wolf said, hey man, you got to check out Steve-O's stuff because I think you could probably learn a little bit about storytelling and putting it in production. So you've gotten the thumbs up from Josh Wolf and the recommendation from him.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, this show.
Yeah, if anyone wants to see my multimedia comedy specials, my last 2 of them stream for free and with no ads at my website, steve-o.com. But you got to click, I'm over 18.
Yeah.
I remember him doing a thing I ran into Steve-O in Toronto. I was doing a show in Toronto, and I always get in early to do press. Steve-O's there, and he's doing shows, and I said, hey, can I come to the show, and is it okay to do a set? And he did something on stage, and I remember thinking it was brilliant for a completely different reason. He said on stage, all right, I want to take a picture with everybody here in the club. And we're going to take a picture, but we're going to do it on my phone. And then tonight, go to steveo.com and you'll be able to see the picture. If you don't like the picture, I'll show it to you. You don't like it, we'll do it again. Boom. And we'll get it right until you like it. And
I know exactly why he's doing that.
Well, here's what I thought. What did you think?
Dummy's fumbling hold on. I don't know how to answer. How do you turn it around? Yeah,
you're
nope, just do it on mine. It's done.
I thought Steve-O was saying.
Not dummies, fans. Sorry, guys.
Right.
Sorry.
I thought it was Steve-O saying, you want to see the picture? Go to my website. Then you go to the website. Here's his stuff. And you can. And I ran into Steve-O like a few weeks later at the Comedy Cellar in New York. And I said, oh man, I saw it. That was so brilliant. You make people go to your website to look at your stuff. And he goes, that's not why I do that. And I go, why do you do that? And he goes, dude, like it saves me like 3 hours to do it myself. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Every time we meet people after shows, there's always someone going, wait, Steve, who's getting in the picture? You go, wait, what button do I push? And it's hours and hours of extra time.
I always go, let me get that phone. I know all my right angles.
Yeah.
Take it like that. But it's just me cutting down the time. I know exactly how it is.
Now that you've been doing stand-up for this long, how do you enjoy the process of it, Steve?
I mean, I'm just so scared of having to put together a new show.
Mm-hmm.
Because it used to be, I told crazy stories and dug up the footage to match with it, like film some new stuff to mix in. Then now it's start from absolute scratch, like film like the highest level, like crazy Jackass shit, and make a whole act out of doing all this stuff. So the bar just keeps getting higher and higher, and it's terrifying to have to outdo each show.
Yeah, I feel like that was the story about your recovery, drug addiction and recovery. Was that your first big touring show that you did?
That was my second one.
Okay.
My first tour, which turned into my first special, was it was about like becoming a part of Jackass and then just like sexual acting out and ultimately getting into sexual sobriety.
Which is a big thing. When I saw him,
it made for a lot of funny stuff. My struggles with trying to not act out sexually, works pretty well for comedy.
So with your history of being over the top and always have to do big stuff, where are you now? Where do you get your excitement in life? And are you still chasing those big
highs?
The big highs. Yeah. Because as addicts, we love that stuff.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm on a health and wellness bender. I just, right before I got on with you guys, I rode 13 miles on my fold-up bicycle through North Carolina.
Beautiful country out there.
Yeah. I like go on like 5-mile hikes and 20-mile bike rides and all that. I've got this fitness tracking device called a Whoop band, and
right here.
I'm pretty obsessed with it. I'm just trying to. I'm kind of like that one guy, just without all the blood transfusions and stuff.
Oh yeah, the guy trying to live forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fascinating. You guys, I would recommend getting him on your podcast.
Now, are you also getting into looks maxing too? Doing the looks maxing?
Okay, this is weird. I got a credit card rewards program because I didn't just come to. I didn't even know that I was going to have it. I just found out. Oh wow! All the like every time I spend money on my credit card, I accumulate these points with City National Bank, and then it turns out they've got like a humongous online store where you can spend all your points. And so every so often, I'll be like, I'll get like with a buddy of mine. I'll be like, hey, it's Christmas. Come on, let's go shopping on this thing. And going through it, I bought an LED light. Apparently, LED light's really healthy for you.
Okay.
An LED light mask. That.
Oh yeah,
For sleeping?
No. Like you wear it like just for like 10 minutes. So
okay.
I do my 10-minute meditation with blasting my face with LED lights.
Yeah.
And I think it might actually be kind of looks maxing.
Yeah.
Has it helped your eyesight as well? I've heard like the red light therapy also helps eyesight as well.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like man, without my glasses, I can't see nothing.
Same. I feel didn't the guy who wants to live forever, doesn't he use that mask as well? I could have sworn I saw that in the documentary, or am I?
I would believe that he does like a full body deal.
Right. Yeah.
You can get like a whole bed that's like from underneath and above. It's well into $100,000 for those.
Whoa.
Living forever is expensive.
So I think
Yeah.
another example of how Steve-O got further down the road of recovery than I did. I feel like as a society, we're much more mature about addiction, drug and alcohol addiction than we were when I was a kid. When I was a kid, the joke that everybody would always make about somebody who went to rehab is rehab's for quitters. And that was a thing you would hear a lot, like growing up as a kid. And
Hacks.
And it just in the last 20 plus years, addiction, Dr. Drew, people have like, there's been a lot of reality TV that has shown what affects most of our lives. A lot of people, if we're not in it ourselves, we know people who are.
Absolutely.
And, but I think the next level is sex addiction. And that is the advanced course. And Steve-O early on, I remember when it was like 4 years ago when I saw him in Boise and he said he hadn't watched porn in years at that point. And is it still?
Yeah, it's been, I think it's been like a decade since I watched porn.
Since you watched porn.
But with that said, I remember thinking like, man, like if it's on TikTok, it's not porn. So I'd be like searching through TikTok for like just like hot chicks. Like, it turns out like there's some pretty suitable stuff to help get the job done on TikTok.
Yeah. See, I went from like when I was dating people, I would like film us. So I wasn't watching porn anymore, but I was watching us bang. So technically still porn, but that's how much of a narcissist I am. I got to watch myself to be able to pop.
Yeah. I didn't know that story, and that's horrifying.
I'll show you some. I'll send you some videos, man. It's impressive.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it's that is something that. So I noticed early on in my run-ins with Steve-O over the years in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, that he was really doing it. He was really doing the recovery, and it was shocking to me how much he made himself available to people. I remember, I don't know if it's okay to say this. We went to a recovery meeting together. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, man, whatever.
And I remember thinking there was a lot of young kids in there, and I was like, oh man, I thought for sure we're going to get bothered.
Mm-hmm.
Never got bothered until the very end of the meeting.
Yes.
Steve-O shared, and I just saw people going, what the like there was this buzz in the room of like, what the fuck? And then afterwards, of course, people were like, hey man. And they came and talked, and he stayed there, hung out, talked to me about recovery. Do you remember laughing at me for something that I shared in that meeting?
I don't.
I shared a religious experience I had that has bothered me for most of my life.
Okay.
And Steve-O's take on it, the recovery meeting we went to, they had a topic, and the topic was God, and it was a really good meeting. And I at some point shared this experience about how when I was 7 years sober, I was starting to have counteractive thoughts, and I started thinking, maybe I need to go to more meetings because I'm starting to think about relapsing again. I'm starting to get these weird thoughts of like, man, it wasn't all bad, you know? I mean, I could do cocaine and, I wouldn't have to do all the cocaine.
I wouldn't have a heart attack this time.
Right. And so I decided to do 30 meetings in 30 days to tighten up my recovery. And along the way, I go to a meeting with a friend of mine who I know peripherally. We go to a meeting where the guy who I went to the meeting with starts talking about his relationship with God, and which threw me. I never heard anybody talk like that. And on the way home, I said, I didn't know you were religious. And he said, oh yeah, man. He goes, I am, man. I pray every night. And I said, really? I said, how do you pray? And he goes, well, I pray. Like, I don't sit on the edge of the bed with my hands clasped like this. And like, but I just, what it is? It's like a constant conversation. And by the way, it's not me asking for things all the time. Sometimes I just say, thank you for what I have. Mm-hmm. I just give thanks,
gratitude.
And he said, you should try it. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised what would happen if you just put it out there in the world. You'd be surprised what you get back. And I started thinking about what he said and realizing there was another problem that I had, which was I was sober 7 years. I never worked the steps.
Yep.
And that night I went home and I sat down on the edge of my bed like this and I put my hand, exactly what he told me not to do.
Now I lay me.
And I said a prayer.
Sleep.
If you're real, show me a sign. Just show me a sign. And I went to 30 meetings in 30 days, asking for a sign and trying to tighten up my recovery. And at the 30th meeting, on the 30th day, there was a speaker meeting, and the guy who was speaking was me in another body. The guy shared my story. It was so compelling. I was so moved by everything he had to say. And he ended with, so, all right, is that my time? All right, well, I'll just wrap it up with this. Basically, what I'm saying is this. If you find yourself praying to God for the first time in your life, and you're asking God to show you a sign, I'm here to tell you, I am your sign. And God has sent me here to tell you that you need to start working the steps. And I just looked around the room and went, what the fuck? And I walked out and I called my girlfriend at the time and I said, you're not going to believe what just happened. And she went, oh my God, that's incredible. And I paused and I said, I don't know what that was. That's the end of the story.
Yeah.
I walk outside, Steve-O's being mobbed by, kids in recovery. Mm-hmm. And then we start walking away like, hey, you want to grab something to eat? Yeah, we'll grab something to eat. And Steve goes, is that true? Did you really do that? Like you had the thing and the guy said, if you're looking for a sign, I'm your sign. And I go, yeah, that actually happened. He goes, and you didn't do a fucking thing about it. And I go, no. And he goes, dude, how much more obvious does it need to be? It's right in front of you. And he kept laughing and laughing. And I was like, man,
I mean, you don't have a whole lot of self-awareness sometimes. Like Craig told me when he was going to therapy, he's like, yeah, my therapist says that I have communication issues. I'm like, Craig, your whole family is deaf. Yeah. Of course you've got communication issues.
Yeah. Does that ring a bell, the story?
I suppose vaguely.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can certainly.
See, I love that you're going to meetings. I love that you're going to meetings and having all those people come up to you and welcoming that with open arms. I did not have the same reaction when I first started going to meetings. Mm-hmm. I was really feeling like I was closing up and not talking about stuff because I would go to meetings when we were touring out on the road in the same cities that we're playing. And I would be having people, taking pictures and whatnot after. And I remember talking to Ralph actually. And he was, I was like, man, this is supposed to be anonymous. And he laughed and goes, not for us.
Right.
You're going to complain. You're going to try to get your face known your entire life. And now that your face is being used for something good, now you're going to get mad about it?
Right.
Made me completely change my attitude about that whole thing. So thank you, Ralph.
Does it bother you at all to be recognized at meetings, Steve?
No, I don't mind a bit, but it helps me to, maintain boundaries like that. I'm not really. I'm kind of a people pleaser, and I'm bad with boundaries. But if I'm at a meeting and somebody asks to take a photo with me, I say, out of respect for the program, I don't take photos at meetings.
Yeah.
And I think it would be pretty bad to like turn a meeting into a meet and greet with taking photos and stuff. I think that would be wildly inappropriate. And it's helpful for me to it's important to me to maintain that boundary. And it's tough for me to say no to people for anything. So like that's just my one thing. I don't mind getting recognized. I just don't take photos. People will ask me to sign their big book or like a chip or something like that. And I just say, out of respect for the program, I don't do that.
I love that response.
I learned something new from Steve-O today.
When you did, when they had the intervention for you, was that all you needed? Was the intervention, or did the light kind of come on?
No.
Oh, okay. When did the light come on?
I was like they had me dead to rights as far as qualifying for 5150, which is 72-hour psychiatric hold. And I was convinced that I was going to calmly explain that it was a misunderstanding and turn around and walk right out of there. And I wasn't able to do that. And when I realized that I wasn't, I was like, oh, well, I want to smoke a cigarette. And they told me just straight up that I was not allowed to smoke a cigarette. And then I was like screaming, I'm going to smoke a cigarette now.
Yeah.
And I go to grab a chair. I'm going to throw a chair. And like, I didn't get anywhere trying to throw a chair. I was just like, like orderlies just came out of nowhere and just grabbed me and like put me down on like a stretcher or something. And they gave me the booty juice, the needle in my butt, which just made me instantly take a nap.
Whoa.
And then when I woke up from my nap, I was like in the doors don't open. All the doors are locked, can't get out. And because of my my behavior, they changed my status from 5150 to 5250.
Which is?
5150 being a 3-day hold, 5250 being a 2-week hold.
Whoa.
And thank God, because 3 days would not have done the trick.
Mm-hmm.
It was like day 5 when somebody gave me a big book in there. And a guy who identified himself as a heroin addict gave me a big book telling me that he felt that I really needed it. And I thought, weird that a heroin addict is giving me a book about alcoholism, telling me that he's worried about me when both of us are on suicide watch. It's kind of weird. And I never would have read anything out of that book, but one of those nights in there, I just couldn't sleep and I had nothing better to do. So I just started reading it from the beginning. And it shook my my core belief that I was a lost cause, like too far gone, because it seemed to describe that the more far gone you are, the better. And then like the next day after that, they had like 3 alcoholic guys came in on a panel, and they told their stories, and I was like, oh man, I guess like this really does work for them. And I came to believe it could work for me. And that next thing you know, they gave me the 20 questions and I aced it. And then I was just painted into a corner and I was like, all right, I'll go. So it took like 7 or 8 days in the psych ward for me to finally say, all right, I'm ready. Like, let's do this. And I went straight from that psych ward into rehab. And I've been clean and sober ever since.
Wow. And in the early recovery, were there struggles in early recovery where you started to second guess?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about second guess, but I certainly got the 4th step blues. and ended up in psychiatric ward number 2.
Whoa.
Yeah, like and I kind of take issue with the way that the 4th step is worded. It's the way that it reads. It says, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And I think by that the word fearless kind of suggests that it's something you should be afraid of. And a moral inventory, it kind of suggests that it's about examining how you're immoral, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, people talk about like all the messed up stuff. So my first crack at the 4th step was just to write down the worst stuff about me, like the worst things I've ever done. Like, and I just kind of bought into it, and I was like, man, I'm awful. You know, like I just, and it says in the 12 and 12 that some of us, you know, balk at the inventory process, and you know, like they develop a self-loathing by looking at our past, and that kind of was where I was at. I didn't drink or do drugs. I was still sober, but I found myself in a second psych ward with about 100 days of sobriety. And then I recommitted. I went back into residential treatment, and then I went into I stayed in sober living until I had 2 full years of sobriety.
Whoa.
Yeah, like I just didn't want to like waste my time. I was like, if I'm going to do this, because the statistics are so bad, you know, the most alcoholics die drunk of causes related directly to alcoholism. Like, it's a pretty small percentage of alcoholics who achieve long-term sobriety. And I was pretty clear on those statistics. So I just wanted to give myself every advantage I could. And I worked the steps thoroughly. I stayed in sober living until I had 2 years. And then even when I left sober living at 2 years, I moved into an apartment that was literally adjacent to one of my sober buddies. And like our bedrooms even shared a wall, and the beds were like pushed up. So technically I could have like knocked on the wall if I was freaked out. And yeah, that's just kind of how it's been the whole time. Like I want to be in that small percentage that makes it. So I stay pretty active in the program.
Had you heard about people talking about sex and love addiction and the early recovery? Yeah, and the one, like I knew that it was really like I started doing this stand up, and like you said, at the end of every show, I would tell the audience, now I'm going to take a photo with every single one of you guys that wants one. And it wasn't with my own phone. It was with a camera. And I would pull the chip out of the camera, put it in the computer, and upload all the photos to my website. I had like an audience photos gallery that made it really easy for people to pull their photos off. But in the beginning, you know, as much as the meet and greet with the entire audience was a way of grassroots promotion, you know, like to try to send as many of the audience members home with a photo to post on their social media to tell their friends that they actually really enjoyed Steve-O's show. Like that was the motivation for it. And as well as it was a glorified audition process to figure out who the lucky lady was that was going to suck my wiener. and at the time, I mean, shit, I've been doing, you know, touring with live comedy now for since 2010. So we've been up on a full 16 years of touring, doing stand-up. And I was like 35. Yeah, I was like 35, 36 when I started. And I remember thinking, nah, man, I'm creeping up on 40. I don't know if like trying to hook up with as many chicks as possible is really a good look, or if it's like the path to really being happy. And, you know,
having a good life,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I was like, God, like, you know, and I remember one of my jokes. I said, I don't want to like be doing that forever. I don't want to be 50 years old and falling apart and trying to hump everything that moves. I just don't want to turn into Pauly Shore.
Steve-O, I am learning so much from you right now. I was thinking too, like even with me, I might need to investigate this SLA stuff because when you were talking about the meetings and people coming into the room, you know how I picked my home group? They had the hottest chicks that came into rehab on the panel.
Right.
That's how I picked my home group.
Yeah,
so I might need to reevaluate some things.
Whenever I get people, like every year, I'll always, on December 14th, I'll do a big post about I have X amount of years today.
Mm-hmm.
And it always leads to DMs from people saying, hey,
I'll suck your dick, man.
I have a problem, or my wife's an alcoholic, or whatever. And how do I get help? How do I get help for somebody I care about? And if it's a woman, I always tell them, go to a women's only meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Where part of the country are you at? I'll find it for you. Okay, here's some women's only meetings, because you're going into a room, whether they're active or in recovery, you're in a room with a bunch of addicts.
Exactly. Everybody looking for that 13th step.
Yeah. And it's, you know, we're wired that way.
Mm-hmm.
Everything we like a lot. And we overdo
addicted
things.
to more.
Yeah.
Period.
It was there a, so it sounds like you're describing, and correct me if I'm wrong, just kind of like an emptiness that you're starting to feel with just random on the road, right? Is that what it was starting to turn into?
I don't know that. I don't know that it's that simple. I just, you know, it's a compulsion. You know, I don't know if it's an emptiness. It's just there's a compulsion to act out. You know, like.
No, I definitely understand it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was in Detroit last weekend, and there was a girl who, like, I couldn't quite read everything she was saying to me. And she was like, I live down the road from here. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And she goes, I can get us some pizza. And I was like, I love pizza. And then she's like, yeah, I think you're very attractive. And I was like, oh, all right. And I was like, you know, it's as a friend of mine also in recovery once said, you know, I would give in to temptation on the road. And then he paused and said, and we're not talking about the 18. Yeah, it was like, it was just giving in because the temptation was there. It was being offered.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree 100%. It's a compulsion. Someone is offering it on the road. There's a compulsion to it. It's not necessarily someone, you know, at least in my case, there'd be moments where it was like, I don't know if it's someone I would ever try to hook up with.
Right.
You know,
I know exactly where that whole thing started with me. Maybe with you guys too. Was there like a girl in junior high for me, 2 girls in junior high that I was super into, but I was always in the friend zone. Always in the friend zone. I got turned down, and then my other buddy ended up hooking with both of those girls. So then when I got popular with 5 Finger Death Punch, I'm like, this is my time now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm crushing everything. And it turned into that because at a young age in development, I had been denied access. And now I've got the entire world. I'm like, oh, I'm currently holding the base for 5 Finger Death Punch and everybody loves me.
Is that what it was like, Steve-O, to get what you couldn't get before?
I mean, I don't know. The first chick I ever had sex with, like, I was like super infatuated, but then like I humped her and then I lost interest and I didn't want to, you know, like from the beginning I had like, you know, this tendency to like to believe I was really into a chick, and then all of a sudden like a light switch flips, like, and then I'm over it. Then
after
the whole
sex.
like, yeah, like so the whole like ghosting chicks was it's a bad thing, man. You know, like I you don't have to be Sigmund Freud to imagine that like I've got, you know, abandonment issues, like whatever, you know, like fear of rejection, all of that. And so like the way that I would routinely sort of use chicks and then throw them away wasn't just me failing to treat people the way I wanted to be treated. It was actually me treating people the way that I most fear being treated myself.
Whoa.
And so it's just like, man, like what a piece of shit, you know, like treating people the way I most don't want to be treated. Like, and just like the guilt of, you know, I did it again. Like, oh man, I did it again. Like, and treating people like that, that's not cool, man. And then if there was a moment where I really decided to get serious about it, I was in a meeting and a speaker referenced a line in the big book. He said that, you know, it says in the big book, if we use our God-given sex powers to harm others and we knowingly do so and we continue to do so, then we are going to drink again. And I was like, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. And I didn't want to drink again. So I ended up like taking the whole sex sobriety real serious after that.
Wow. Not many people go that extra step. And I really do believe that's like the last, you know, that is the advanced program.
Sounds like it's my next step.
Yeah, I remember when you went through your last breakup, you said, I'm not going to watch porn. Like you had sworn off porn for a while.
Oh, and, I'm in the throes of it right now.
Are you?
Oh, I've been single since October. Yeah. I won't watch it now if I'm in a relationship. But now I'm, you know, rationalizing like I'm single. I still need to fucking, you know, get this chi out of here.
Right. It's so funny.
At least I'm not going out and banging everything. At least I'm responsibly watching porn on Twitter now.
I mean, hey, there's something to be said for that. You know, like minimizing health risks is you know, that's kind of a win. You know, if you think about like the way that you know, like acting out like recklessly, promiscuously, like, and then you got all the anxiety of like, oh my God, what have I done?
Right.
You know, like what's going to happen to me? Like, you know,
it's funny when he describes, you know, having sex and then realizing, even with someone he was infatuated with, someone he was into, and then you do it and it's happened and you just, something in a man's brain makes you go, huh. And you start to, I remember doing a tour with a bunch of Howard Stern guys, and one of the guys in that group was Richard Christie, who at that time
love Richard Christie.
Me too.
Drummer for Iced Earth?
Yes.
Nice.
And Richard, when he first came on the Howard Stern show, he had not had sex in 10 years. Even though he was in a band that was popular, he had not had sex in 10 years.
It was Iced Earth.
And we...
Come on now.
And we did a show in San Diego, and a girl came back to the hotel with us, ended up in Richard's room. And the next day, I said, Richard, he was running late. And I go, you got to go. And he was like, oh man, sorry, man. And then the girl leaves the room. And I was like, did you have sex last night? And he goes, yeah. And I go, oh my God. We get in the van and we're going up to LA. We're going to do a show at the Roxy. And the whole van ride was like, holy shit, Richard, you got laid. And I was like, oh my God, dude, I'm so happy for you. And she's a really pretty girl. And I said, you want to invite her to the show tonight in LA? And he goes, I don't know. Like, it's been 10 years and you finally had sex with someone and you're like, yeah, I kind of got to get away from this girl.
There was one time we were out on the road and I had a guest out with me and we're crushing all day long. And then we go out to the elevator. Jason Hook, our old guitarist, is in the elevator. And he's like, oh, you got a guest? He's like, wait a minute, what room are you in? I was like, 314. He goes, oh my God, you are my hero. Had Jason Hook in the next room right next to me the whole time.
I love that. And so I'm assuming you still do recovery regularly. You're still in touch, Steve-O?
Oh yeah. With Zoom, it's pretty darn easy.
Zoom saved a lot of lives during the pandemic.
Oh, the pandemic. Oh, I had hit rock bottom again because I gotten sober in 2018. And then the pandemic, I mean, woo!
Yeah.
The whole world was pulled out from underneath me. I did not do well. Thank God for SFG, the group that I was in, and the Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
Big group of musicians. We all came together. We were all there for each other. And oh my God, they helped me so much with that support group then.
I want to say it was around the pandemic that I noticed that Steve was doing a podcast.
Yes.
Is that when it started? Was during the pandemic? That's when I noticed.
Yeah, it actually was. I bought the van for that purpose in January of 2020. And then like all of a sudden March of 2020, the whole world shut down. And God, I was so happy I had this RV. It was like shelter in place. And I was like, can do.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I had sheltered in place all over the fucking place.
It's funny. Steve-O clearly grew up on the same music that I did. He's told the story a few times, and I was shocked the first time I heard him do it because I honestly thought I was the only kid on planet Earth who had figured this out. How to meet Mötley Crüe. How to meet any of your favorite bands. I knew that they likely would not be staying in a hotel under Nikki Sixx. So if I'm going to call all the hotels in town to find out where Nikki Sixx is at, I'm not going to find it. But if I find out who the tour manager is and start calling around and asking for the tour manager, and then I get the tour manager, I'm like, all right, that's it.
Alex, cut this shit. I'm going on tour in July. Damn it.
Yeah. But Steve-O did.
Our tour's manager's name is Craig Gass.
Yeah.
He goes to other cities that we're not in just to make sure that, we're safe.
But the crazy thing to me is that Steve-O is, I don't know, he's like 12, 13 when you made the phone calls.
Yeah.
And
I was 13 years old. Mötley Crüe, Girls tour.
Oof. Massive.
October 25th of 1987. And I just saw on the news that the crew had gotten in some trouble. They were like, the news was complaining like, these asshole rock stars come to our city. And, and I was like, they're here and the concert's tomorrow. So like they're in a hotel and I'm going to find them. And so I checked all my tape sleeves for the manager's name, and it was Doc McGee. And I just opened the phone book, the yellow pages. I called every hotel asking for, please put me through to Mr. Doc McGee's room. And after like 3 hours, I got
3 hours,
something like that, yeah. And the dude answers the phone. I said, "Is that Doc McGee?" And he said, "No, this is Doc's brother, Scott."
Scott McGee,
and I was like, "No way!" And I was all excited. Just the crew there. My balls had not dropped at all. I was like, and the guy was like, "Who is this? How'd you get this number?" And I told him I called every hotel in the phone book, and he was like, "Are you serious, dude? That's fucking awesome."
Can you believe that?
Yeah. I don't think Doc McGee would have said that. His brother would have.
Yeah, he said he was impressed by my efforts, and he said, "How would you like backstage passes?" And so I've got these great photos of me and Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee from 1987.
I love these pictures. Yeah, dude, the fact that they had the tour manager had a positive reaction to it, because most tour managers, I know Scott went on to manage Skid Row, and I think did he tour manage them? But and I only know that because I was doing the same thing, like finding out who works for the band. But for Steve to have a positive reaction, like in those days, did you ever get to meet other favorite bands that maybe had like a similar positive reaction or a not so positive reaction from?
It wasn't in those early days, but I remember my buddy. It was before I got sober for sure, and I was in Vegas. My buddy was like, "Oh, dude, like, I want to go to the Social Distortion concert," and I'm like, "All right, cool, man. I'm like, let's handle this, dude. I got it." And so we go walking up, me and my buddy, and I'm like, I go right to the entrance. Whenever where's your ticket? I'm like, "Oh no, yes, I'm the surprise guest. I'm going to be introducing the band." They're like, and they're like looking down they're like, "We don't see your name on there." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a surprise." Like of course they don't have my name on there because it's a surprise. God, they just like let us in, and like I just keep like bullshitting everybody all the way through until we literally, my buddy and I just are walking into the fucking dressing room, and like we're the only ones in the dressing room with Mike Ness sitting right there.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, I just bullshitted my way in here, dude. It's like cool to meet you.
And was Mike cool with it?
Yeah, he was super cool.
Thank God. Yeah, there's
he was sober. He'd been sober forever. Like I was not sober, and I don't know that. Like I ended up meeting him many years later, and I was sober. I can't remember if he remembered that incident or not, but yeah, he was pretty laid back, pretty tough guy to face.
I feel like knowing Steve is, in a peripheral way and hanging out with him a few times over the years, I feel like I could see when he's getting pushed back a little bit and he feels uncomfortable. And there's been a couple of moments when he's had people that I know, like Gene Simmons on the show, which, by the way, scared me. I was excited, but scared when Steve-O said, hey, so we have a mutual friend that does an impression of you. His name's Craig Gass. You know who that is, right? And he goes, I tolerate the prick. And I was like, I was scared to death that it was on there. We'll run it here.
Relationship, a friendship with Craig Gass, the comedian who does such the fantastic impression of you.
I tolerate the prick.
But I was scared to death to see that. But Gene was, and he sometimes is, in a grumpy mood.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember how grumpy Gene was in that interview?
Well, I mean, what I remember is not the interview, but like he arranged for us to record it in the RV parked outside of his Rock and Brews restaurant.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And, so like by design, it was promoted. There was like a crowd there, like waiting. And then like we went in and ate lunch at the Rock, and they had like the table that we ate at was like roped off with like literally a crowd, like watching gathered around the table. Wow. And, we ate lunch. It was perfectly pleasant. And then, and got up, and this guy was like, Gene, hey, he had this album, this vinyl album. And he was like, I've got like Paul and like, maybe Peter, I'm not even sure, but like, he's like multiple Kiss autographs. And he's like, can I get your autograph on there too? And Gene looked at the guy and he goes, yeah, so you can sell it for $1,500 on eBay. And then he just turned around and like walked away. And like, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, Gene walked away, and I was like sitting there. This guy was just heartbroken. I walked over and I was like, was that real? Like, did he really do that? It's like, and then the guy was like, yeah, he was totally just devastated that Gene, he waited the whole time. It was just right there. How tough would it be to just sign it?
I know he gets in a mood sometimes. I remember being in at a show once, and I would always end up hanging out with the road crew, just sharing stories about Gene and Paul, whatever. And then and somebody walked by who was a wardrobe girl, and someone goes, "Hey, Craig Gass, you got a good story for Craig that he could do in his stand-up?" And she comes over and she goes, "What do you mean?" They go, "Just like a funny story about Gene." She goes, "The only one I can think of is kind of a bad story. He was in a real bad mood that day." And I go, "Oh, what's that story?" And she said, we were in the Halloween parade in New York. The Halloween parade in New York City is incredible. It goes on for several hours, and there is just some of the most amazing floats and costumes you'll ever see. It's in Greenwich Village. And Kiss was promoting a box set. So they had a big float with all the information about the box set, and Gene and Paul are on and she goes, it was a long day. So Gene was by the time we got on the float, Gene was in a bad mood. And we're going down. You know what? I feel bad about saying this. We're going to move this story over to the Patreon. But Gene is, he's in a bad mood, and a Kiss fan jumps the barricade, runs up to the float, rips his shirt off, and he goes, Gene, look. And his whole back is covered in Kiss tattoos. And he goes, Gene, look. And Gene goes, you're an idiot. And he goes, what? And Gene goes, you're a fucking idiot. Get out of here. And I was like, man, he's having a tough day that day. And then I see Steve has like someone that had so much energy, Sebastian Bach, that I see Steve light up as soon as he comes in. And he's like, man, I'm really glad you came in. And he goes, well, dude, I fucking love you, dude. I fucking love Jackass. And I could see Steve's eyes just open up. And the Sebastian interview seemed like a really fun interview, right?
Oh, dude, it was a fucking blast. Love that guy.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you find yourself in the middle of an interview? And I can't reference anything off the top of my head, but I've seen it truly is. Steve-O has become one of the best interviewers.
Oh yeah, Steve-O's wild ride.
Yeah, Steve-O's wild ride. Truly, he's become one of the most. He really is into the people he's talking to,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wonder, how often have you found yourself in a moment where like, holy shit, I'm getting 2-word answers and I'm burning through all my questions?
I had Cheech and Chong on together.
Whoa!
I think that they, I don't know, like I'm not gonna say they had 2-word answers, but like they weren't too worried about being there.
Tommy, Tommy was the first famous guy I ever opened for back in 1993. And that dude had such incredible stories. But then there's also this weird tension between those two. You think it was because the two of them were together? You think if you had them separately, you might have gotten a better interview? Or
No, I mean, they're just, what are they, like, they're deep in their 70s.
Yeah.
They're over it.
Yeah.
They're over it. They don't even,
Has there been anyone that you've hit up multiple times to be on the show and you still can't get them?
Yeah, there's been, I mean, we had Snoop Dogg booked, and then it was like going to be on Zoom. It was during the pandemic, and like at the very minute it was supposed to begin, like his assistant was like, "Oh, he can't do it." Like that was a bummer. I was really excited about that one.
Oh man. Well, hopefully.
And then like I reached out to the same guy. I was like, "Oh, hey, like this never was going to happen."
Mm-hmm. So, do you book your own guests? Do you have people doing that for you at this point?
I've had a booking agency most of the time.
Okay. Alex, put that down. We need a booking agency. Thank you. I'm learning all kinds of stuff from Steve-O today.
Oh my God, booking podcasts is a nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm taking a break from it.
Craig is great at it. Like, I don't have it in me to call my friends and be like, "Hey man, like I got this podcast. Can you please come on here?" But Craig's really good at that. So
Steve,
thank you from me for getting wonderful guests like Steve-O and reaching out. And
did I tell you what Steve said when he replied, though? He had the funniest.
You told me, and it was hilarious, but I can't remember what it was.
Steve,
I do remember.
He goes, and again, this goes to every time I see, there's been a couple times over the years, like, "Steve, I'm in the same town as you. Can I come see the show?" Fuck yeah, dude, come down, whatever, And I was like, would it be, or he'll say, he'll put me on stage and let me do a set. There was one time he had a sold out show in Boise. I'm doing a show at a club, and he said, "Well, come in and do the radio with me because I don't need to sell any more tickets, but I'll help you sell yours." And he promoted my show.
That's awesome.
On his thing. So again, I haven't talked to him in a little while, and I said, "Can you do you mind coming on?" And we've got 14 million views already on Instagram. And he said, "Yeah, dude, I'll do it. Just please." And all caps, he wrote, "Do not ask me to promote the goddamn interview." And I was like,
I said, for the love of God.
For the love of God.
Do not turn around and then ask me to put it on my social.
Right.
I'm like, I'll do it for you as a favor. I'm happy to. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it drives me nuts. I'll do an interview. It's like, yeah, sure. I'll be a bro. I'll do a favor. And then it's like, all right, now post it.
Yeah.
Because I did you the favor of doing the interview.
Yeah.
Like, now I owe you a favor because I did you a fucking favor.
It never ends.
I relate to that so much because
I don't even promote my own podcast. I don't put my own fucking podcast on my socials. I'm not doing fucking
Beardo and fucking Weirdo.
Yeah, dude, I relate to it because every TV station I do across the country, they'll be like, yeah, we'll get you to come in. We'll talk about the shows you got coming up this weekend. And they'll be like, okay, now can you put this on your thing? And I'll go, oh no, I mean, it's over. My shows are over. I'm gone. I just wanted, so I relate to that. Yeah. So yeah, it reminded me of, I remember going to see Alice Cooper once, and his tour manager said, hey, Alice wants to say hi to you after this show. So we're going to put you in the back of this meet and greet line. And I said, okay, all right, well, that's kind of weird. And he goes, no, he'll do the meet and greet, and then he'll see you, and then you guys can hang out. Mm-hmm. And I said, all right. And I get herded into this group of people, and the tour manager's yelling out instructions. Everyone gets a photo with Alice. You can have one item autographed, blah, blah, blah. And then he turns around, starts leading this group down a hallway of the arena. And then he stops and goes, oh, hey, one more thing. No long stories. And I went, oh, I wish I had somebody with me to do that at my comedy shows, to yell out, no long stories. Because it's always at the beginning of the merch line. The first person is like, hey, so I got a story for you. And then everyone waiting for merch just leaves.
Yep. Yeah.
They're telling the story. Yeah. So when Steve-O said, I'll do it, just please, for the love of God, don't ask me to promote it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're on tour right now. You got a whole new show. How do you feel about the show you're working on right now? Your stand-up show.
Oh my God, dude. I'm terrified of retiring. This show is like the best thing I've ever made.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my God, I'm so in love with it.
Isn't it funny how you can go from, wow, how do I put a whole new show together, to like, oh my God, this is good. Oh, and this is good too. This is like, like I'm assuming you start with the same fear of like starting over.
I mean, it's taken years. I mean, I let's see, I started working on this in 2023. That was when I taped my last special, was 2023. So I got right into working on this show, and now it's pretty damn close, man.
Nice.
It's pretty damn close to nothing more for me to do on it, and then tape the special, and then start from scratch, and that's terrifying.
Is there a through line in this one similar to the one that I saw about sobriety? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This is me confronting middle age. Even though I'm calling 50 middle age, like I'm 50, I turned 50, and just belligerently refusing to like grow up.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, saying some of the most grown up stuff I've ever heard regarding recovery in this interview today. So yeah.
Well, thanks, man. And that like there are like sort of me and my actual experience with like getting into my 50s is has like motivates all of the tentpole bits that are throughout the show.
Now, at the age of 50, are you on the peptides as well?
I tried it for a while, and it's just too much of a hassle.
Yeah.
It's didn't like the refrigerated ones were just too much work.
Mm-hmm.
And then the testosterone was just too much of a hassle.
Yeah, testosterone is the one that I'm still on. I was doing like CJC.
What is peptides?
You notice a difference? I just didn't notice that it did really.
The testosterone I definitely did, because I used to always be the type that in the afternoon I had to have a nap. I would watch. There's a show called Pardon the Interruption on ESPN. Yeah, I would call it my PTI time. I'd start watching PTI, fall asleep halfway through, and that was my PTI time. But now that I'm taking testosterone, I'm not nearly as sleepy in the afternoon. I rarely take naps anymore. And recovery, as far as like working out and lifting weights, I feel if I kind of hurt something a little bit, the recovery process isn't nearly as long as it would have been. I'm assuming at age 51 as it was with the testosterone. So
yeah, I relate to the naps.
Yeah. Are you 51?
51, yes, sir.
Yeah, me too.
Isn't it amazing how different we look at 51 than what I remember people when I was in my 25, 26 age range?
Right.
I was in a band. I was 22 years old. Our drummer was 28. We called him Papaw.
Nice. That's amazing.
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
May 21st, 1974.
I'm June 13th, 1974. We're less than a month apart.
Yep, both jamming girls back in the day.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how little we cared about ourselves when we were growing up and how much we care about our health now?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
and to have put,
that's how it should be.
Yeah.
And to have put all the stuff in our system all those years and still managing to look and feel the way we do at these ages. It's incredible. So,
by the way,
I don't know if it's diet. I don't know if it's medicine. I don't know if it's being in comedy, doing heavy metal, whatever it is. It's all working for us, and I'm greatly appreciative.
dude, this is the conversation I wanted to have. This is exactly what I wanted to have. And it's weird because when I hang out with you, I'm not, it feels weird to ask you some of these questions. So thank you for giving us a chance to have a conversation like this in this forum, like this.
Hey, bro. Dude, I love you, Craig, man. You know, and anytime that you ever reach out, like, you know, it's a no-brainer. Like, you gave me this big pitch about, this. I was like, okay, Craig, like, I get it. You got a podcast. I'll do it.
Yeah, I know. I realized on the third or fourth text, I just stopped and said, I don't know why I'm pitching. And then and I said,
it's like, dude, like, you're my homie, dude.
Yeah.
I love you. I always, you know, I'm always stoked to see you. I always love when we get together. I value you as a friend. And this was a no-brainer for me.
There is one last question I want to ask you, and it's a totally random question, but did I hear correct that you always have cash on you to tip people out? That
for sure.
Yeah. I love that because he announced that on Rogan. And I thought, I don't know if you should announce it. It reminded me because you always have something. That's Steve, you shouldn't. I feel uncomfortable. Like it reminds me of Tom Arnold was on the Tonight Show once with Jay Leno, and he described that when he proposed to Roseanne, he said, you know, I had like $300,000 on me in cash. So I went to and then Jay Leno tried to like help him by saying, hey, I just want to make sure to just clarify, when you say you had $300,000 in cash, that's not like a regular thing for you. And Tom goes, oh no, it's a regular thing. Like Jay is trying.
I don't have any. I don't have thousands or anything.
Right.
You know?
You got, but 20s. But it's. I admire it because it's to tip people.
Yeah, sure.
Or a homeless person. You see a homeless person. You know, he'll give them a 20.
Were you ever in the service industry, like bartending, waiting tables, anything like that? Where's that tipping come from?
I never did well with it. I just felt like it's too damn hard to get by in the world, man. Like, it's really like I got like real lucky, you know, and I don't know. I want to help people out, so that's what I do.
Is it ever out of fear of people talking shit because you didn't tip? Because I was a bartender for years, and I always tip crazy just from being in that. But there might be a little bit like I need to make sure I do a little extra. That way they know, oh, Chris Kale's a good dude.
Like, but with Uber drivers, like I want them to give me a 5-star rating as a passenger.
Yes, sir.
It's not, but that's really not the motivation. I just, you know, like I like Uber. I feel like Uber drivers like drive and put all this miles on their car, and like it's not like they don't really do that well with it. You know, like I want them to, when they give me a ride, I want them to. Like, I want it to be like a good one for them.
Exactly.
And it sounds like, are you at your Nashville place now?
No, North Carolina.
No.
You're in North Carolina. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on tour in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Very
All right.
nice.
I've heard you talking about the Nashville place, and it sounds like you're really happy about where you're living.
Oh my God, I love it. I'm just not there that much.
Have you got the animal rescue thing running yet?
I do.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Can we give out the website for that?
Sure. It's radicalranch.org.
radicalranch.org. We'll put it at the bottom of the screen here. radicalranch.org.
That'd be a place that Whitfield Crane would love because he's always talking about just making it rad, man.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go be rad.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you for joining us, man. And sincerely, thank you for every time I see you. You're always really nice to me, and I really appreciate that. And
I love you.
I love you too, man. And your words of support every time I see you or just from a distance, it's greatly appreciated. So, and I really admire your recovery, even though I have a little more time than you do. And here's a horrible PS. I still haven't done the steps. I'm 21 years sober and I've never done the steps. And you know what's funny? I haven't done the steps because I've gotten to step 4 twice and it scared the shit out of me.
Oh,
it
it's brutal.
scared the shit out of me twice. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a terrible person. So,
You know, that's the thing I was saying, that like people think because it says we made a searching and fearless, more of like, oh, this should be scary. What if it said, you know, we made a list of all of the examples we could think of when we were super uncomfortable, and we analyzed what was, you know, at the root cause of us being uncomfortable so that we could be more comfortable.
yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
I mean, they could certainly make it more succinct than that. But if it was like, you know, we identified the root causes of our discomfort, that's really what it is. You know, like, it's about identifying the root causes of discomfort. And if it was worded to that effect, then people wouldn't be so goddamn scared of doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
By the way, I feel like I should end on a word to the person who's watching this, who this is really going to speak to. If you are hearing this conversation and you feel like this is talking to you in a way that maybe you need to get help, I hope you love yourself enough to do something about it and get some help. You just
because Craig doesn't.
You know, there's somebody at home right now who had just had a conversation with his girlfriend. Baby, I'm doing 30 days of podcast. I'm going to see if I can find a message. You know what? Craig Gass just said something. Wonder what that's all about.
all right. That's the perfect way to end it. I love you, man. Thank you, Steve. Well, I'll see you somewhere on the road.
For sure, man. Love you too, dude. Hell yeah. Great talking to you guys.
All right. Take care, buddy.
Thank you, Steve-O.
Oh,
For sure.
man.
Yep.
That was wonderful.